You tell yourself you are lazy. You tell yourself you lack motivation. You tell yourself that if you just found the right morning routine, the right playlist, the right burst of willpower, you would finally become the person you picture in your head. This is the first lie you have been taught to believe about yourself, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why it is a lie, and what is actually happening inside your mind every single time you choose the couch over the work. Here is a question that will probably make you defensive. What if the dream you keep polishing in your imagination is not something you failed to reach, but something you are quietly protecting from ever being tested? Psychologists have a name for the gap you live inside. It is called the intention-action gap, and it is one of the most heavily documented patterns in behavioral science. It describes the space between what a person genuinely intends to do and what that same person actually does. In behavioral psychology, it is understood that strong intentions rarely translate into action on their own. You can want something with your whole chest and still never move toward it. Wanting was never the missing weapon. Here is the mechanism nobody explains to you, and it is colder than you expect. As long as your dream lives only inside your head, it is completely safe from failure. An unstarted business cannot go bankrupt. An unwritten book cannot get rejected. An unspoken conversation cannot be met with silence. Your imagined life remains flawless because it has never touched reality. The moment you take real action, you introduce the possibility of finding out that you are not as capable as you believed. Your mind treats that possibility as a threat to your identity, and it will choose comfort over confrontation almost every time. This is not weakness. This is a defense system doing exactly what it was built to do, and the dream you are protecting is quietly turning into a trap. And that is still not the most uncomfortable part of this picture. Behavioral scientists use a simple model to explain why motivation alone is never enough. It is called the COM-B model, and it states that behavior only happens when three elements are present at the same time. Capability, meaning you actually have the skill or the knowledge required. Opportunity, meaning your environment and your circumstances genuinely allow the action to happen. And motivation, meaning you have the internal drive to do it. Most people obsess endlessly over the third piece, chasing discipline and inspiration, while ignoring that a motivated person without the right skill or without the right conditions will still stay frozen. You can be the most determined person in the room and still fail to act, simply because one supporting pillar was never built. If you have ever wondered why some deeply passionate people never launch anything, while some quietly unbothered people casually build entire careers, this is your answer. It was never about the size of the fire inside them. It was about which of the three pillars were actually standing. Recognizing this pattern in yourself is not an insult, it is intelligence, and intelligence is the first layer of psychological armor against repeating the same freeze for another decade of your life. Anyone who studies their own patterns instead of numbing themselves against them is already doing something the identity-protecting brain would rather you avoid. If this idea is landing somewhere honest in you right now, staying subscribed to this channel means staying equipped every time your own mind quietly tries to talk you out of your next move. Here is the protocol for neutralizing the trap, instead of just understanding it intellectually. Phase 1 is naming the gap out loud, instead of living inside it silently. When you catch yourself imagining a future version of your life instead of taking one small step toward it, say this internally, without shame and without drama. I am currently protecting an idea instead of testing it. That single sentence interrupts the autopilot because it forces you to notice the substitution your brain just made. Phase 2 is auditing your three pillars honestly instead of blaming motivation by default. Ask yourself directly, do I actually have the capability this requires, or am I missing a specific skill? Do I have the opportunity, meaning the time, the resources, the access, or am I trying to act inside a locked room? Only after answering those two, ask about motivation. Most people skip straight to blaming their own willpower when the real blockage was capability or opportunity the entire time. Phase 3 is choosing one action so small that failure cannot threaten your identity and doing it anyway. Not the business plan, the single email. Not the finished manuscript, the first clumsy paragraph. The goal is not impressive momentum. The goal is proving to your own nervous system that reality did not collapse when you tried. That single data point is checkmate against the trap, and it is what starts closing the intention-action gap, one small proof at a time. Dreaming was never your flaw. Protecting the dream instead of testing it was the quiet trade you did not know you were making. Keep your psychological armor sharp. Keep questioning which pillar is actually missing before you blame your own heart. And never let your identity-protecting brain pull your strings and call it comfort.